Hello and welcome. Hey, audience. Thank you, Father, for the day, and thank you for an opportunity to have another conversation, a very important conversation. And every single solitary person that is fortunate to hear from the lovely Liv McBride today, pay very close attention. Lifestyle medicine. What is it? Why does it matter? Who is it for? It's for all of you and all of your loved ones and beyond. So we're going to dive in. Thank you, Liv McBride. Uh, she's a medical scientist. And what she loves the most and what her passion is lifestyle medicine. She is board certified in lifestyle medicine. When Liv and I first met, I said, okay, what in the world? Sounds a little bit, woo-woo. Everybody talks about whole health and all the things. Well, just before we started our recording today, she was sharing about being with a bunch of her girlfriends from high school, I believe.
Yeah.
And she was all excited because a lot of good stuff going on in her business and around lifestyle medicine. She was going on and on and on. They were like, oh, come on, stop. We just want to have our wine and relax and stop talking about this. They get home. She gets a call and Liv, take it away. You get a call from one of those girlfriends, right?
Yeah. So one of my girlfriends found out that she had got high blood pressure. So obviously the fact that we'd had that conversation a couple of weeks ago, she remembered and she was like, this is a real thing for me now. I don't want to go on medication. Is there anything that I can do? And I said, yeah, there is. I can help you because I just helped my husband. And he'd found out that he had high blood pressure, and so he was my sort of guinea pig. I applied everything that I'd learned on lifestyle medicine and using lifestyle to prevent, treat and reverse chronic diseases. So and he put everything into place that I had suggested. Obviously I was feeding him. I'm in charge of the food in my house, so I made sure that he was eating all the right things, but he did all the other stuff. So he made sure he was going out for really long walks every day, 12,000 steps. He was putting into practice all the stress management things that I'd suggested. When you come out of a stressful meeting, you go straight for a walk, you practice some
Yeah.
breathing techniques. And he put all of that into place, and he got his blood pressure back down into the normal range, avoided medication. So I had shared this story with my friends on a girls' weekend, and obviously it had my friend had it'd gone into her head. And so when this happened to her and she needed help, she didn't want to go on medication. She came to me, and we started working together. And another friend actually at the same time found out that she had it. So the two girls worked together, and both of them have been successful. And it's just amazing, that something that, there's a lot of scientific evidence, a huge wealth of scientific evidence to show that if we, that the root cause of 95% of chronic disease is lifestyle. And if we, get back to basics and eat the right foods and move our bodies and practice stress, reduce stress where we can, practice stress relief techniques to calm everything down when we feel stressed, make sure that we're getting enough sleep, avoid toxins where we can, and do some proactive things to help our emotional and mental health. Then we can, we support our bodies. We get rid of the things that are doing us harm, and we do the things that heal. And our bodies, have a natural ability to heal when we provide it with the right tools. And I've seen that in practice many times. I've been going into a lot of Facebook groups for people who are looking for answers. High blood pressure groups, type 2 diabetes groups, high cholesterol groups, and sharing this information on there. And it's just amazing what it can do.
I love it so much. And Liv, I have so many questions. Before we dive into more questions, first of all, I want the audience to know that Liv works with people, and certainly if we're in a crisis situation, it's crunch time and you have to be extremely, extremely strict. However, once you get to a healthy place, then she's not all about forgetting about normal life and normal lifestyle and having fun. So stay tuned because she's going to share about that with us. I want Liv, though, to tell us about who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. How'd you get here?
Yeah. So, well, I did medical science at university, so I've always been interested in how disease develops and how and what we can do to stop it. So I worked in healthcare for 20 years, doing all that sort of stuff. And then, but getting into lifestyle medicine was a very personal journey for me because my dad died at 55 of heart failure.
So sorry.
And I'm 51 now, so that's only 4 years from now. And that, I thought that could happen to me. And heart disease did run in our family as well. I have an uncle who died at 58. He just dropped dead of a heart attack. My mum died at 62 of lung cancer. Another auntie on that side died at 59. So these are all really, this is really young to be dying. And these were all preventable diseases. But at the time, I didn't know. I thought, these are my genes. This is my family heritage. This is what I've got to look forward to, basically. And so I started thinking, well, maybe if I live a different lifestyle, it'll be different for me. So I started looking at all food as medicine at first, the kind of old wives' tales about, herbs that you can use and that kind of thing. But the more I got into it, the more I realized there's a huge, massive paradigm shift happening. There's a lot of science going into, what does this food do? What does that food do? And we've got scientific proof of what it does. And things like fruits and vegetables, they are impacting our gut bacteria in such a way that it's healing the gut lining, that it's preventing inflammation, that it's having a body-wide impact. It's affecting our brain health in a good way, so that we get the right neurotransmitters. So that was completely fascinating to me. The more that I read, the more I was like, oh my God, there's all this science to back it up. This is it. This is what I want to do with my life. So then the more that I learned, the more I thought, if I want to be able to share this, I need to be qualified. I need to come from a position of authority that, people know they can trust what I'm saying, because you look on the internet now, there's just like everybody setting themselves up as a wellness guru, and there's so much misinformation and quite frankly, harmful information being shared for people who are desperately looking for answers. So I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to talk about this stuff, I'm qualified. And then I found out that there's an American College of Lifestyle Medicine. There's also a British society. There's a European society. These big, massive professional medical organizations are just sprouting up all over the world. This is a huge movement. And I found out that because of my medical science degree, I was able to do the course. So I joined. And what's interesting, though, is that it was me and everyone else was GPs. So all the doctors are all training themselves in lifestyle medicine because they know they're the ones that they got people coming into their surgery every day and they're not getting any better. And they're doing what they have been taught to do, which is diagnose, prescribe, and their patients keep coming back in. So they had started to sort of think, well, why am I even doing this if I'm not helping these people? So that's what was really interesting to me, that this is going to be a huge shift in the future. It's just that the medical world moves slowly, and it's going to take a lot of time before this becomes the norm and they bring it into medical schools, and and your doctor is able to tell you about this stuff.
What's interesting about that is so often in conversations that you and I were actually in a conversation about this a little while ago, there's not a lot of money in lifestyle medicine compared to the dollars in the pharmaceutical world, correct?
Well, I think the thing is, it's just that that's the way that it's been in the past, and it makes sense and it works. It works for people. It stops the pain. It stops the you know what I mean? But it just, the problem with chronic disease is it's lifestyle related. So unless we are, digging down into the root cause and not just managing symptoms, then, we're never going to fix the problem. It's only going to be quieting down for a little while.
Mm.
I mean, I'm all for medicines and hospitals and doctors. Let's face it, if you have an accident, if you have an infection, these people come in and they quite literally save life and limb. So it's not about that. It's about the fact that, we've all just kind of got into this thing where we don't bother, we outsource our health to somebody else rather than just sort of bring it back in and saying, right, I've got a stinking headache. I've got a really bad stomach ache. And instead of just going, right, I need to go to the doctors and get a pill, it's like, why? Why have I got a headache?
Right.
Is it that I didn't sleep last night? Is it that I haven't eaten all day? Is it that I'm totally stressed out at work or in my personal life?
Yes.
Why have I got a stomach ache? I've been eating absolute rubbish for the last 2 weeks. I've been drinking too much. All of these things. Instead of that, we just say, well, I don't want this pain. So
Right.
I'm going to go to the doctors or the pharmacy. I'm going to take a pill. So there's sort of like, there's the system that's set up in a particular way, and that's just the way it's been, and that we've all agreed to it. And then there's this other side of it, which is that we don't want to take responsibility. We don't want anything to change. We just want a quick fix.
Yes, and there, what you just said is something, and I know that the audience, they ask questions about this a lot, and I address it a lot. Accountability and responsibility in every area of life. And it's interesting, we seem to pick and choose where we're going to be responsible and be accountable. And I think that all of us, we really need to support one another and have conversations and work with you and people like you that hold us accountable for the most important thing in our lives. If we are not healthy, if
Yeah.
we do not have our health, everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, I'll back
And
that. Everybody knows I'm going to throw God in there first, most importantly. But bottom line is our health and taking responsibility for that health. We work harder, and I'm saying we because certainly it's been part of my life as well. We work, we're very good about our work, and we're very committed, and we're accountable, and we're responsible on, you know, let's say to earn. But are we that accountable to our health? Which, if we don't have it, we can't go to work.
but I think one of the main things is it's not about criticizing people. I think it's the fact that we don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know that ultra processed food was having that effect on my body. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware that we've suddenly become really sedentary people.
Mm.
I wasn't aware before I started at the amount of stress and where all these stresses are coming from. So I don't think it's that people, you know, are not bothered. I think it's that they don't understand, they just don't know. And there's all this misinformation out there. And what I found with people is that once you sow that seed and you kind of explain, it's more than likely your lifestyle. So let's have a look at your lifestyle. And at first they're all, very resistant. Oh, well, I eat healthy anyway, so it's nothing like that. And I'm already doing all of this stuff. And I say, well, okay, let's dig down. What are you doing? What are you eating? And these are the things that are important. And once they see that actually the things that they thought were healthy actually aren't. A lot of them are ultra processed, shop bought, maybe plant based, maybe low fat, maybe low carb, but actually it's full of junk, and it's raising our blood sugar, and it's causing inflammation across the body, and they didn't know. And how would they know? They thought they were just buying healthy things from the supermarket.
Yeah, and I think that all kind of creeped in a little bit slowly. However, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my incredible sisters. Uh, well, Annie, she's number 7. She has been fussing at us, read the labels. You don't understand. You're not eating right. Now trust me, if she were sitting here, she goes in and out of being really disciplined like we all do. However, I do think we're becoming aware. And now that we are becoming aware, I'll say it that way. You said it much more nicely. I do think we need to take accountability.
Yeah.
And I think now it's so important that we become accountable. And so often we wait until there's an event, high
Yeah.
blood pressure, all of a sudden, oh, you go to the doctor, oh, you might need this, you might need that. And it's like, okay, I'm going to start paying attention. So I'm glad you're here for us to reach out to. Liv, what is, and I'd written this down and I noticed someone else had asked you, what's the number one thing that we can do for our health?
The number one thing is to look at the food that you're eating.
Mm,
If you sort out the food first, everything else will follow. If we're not eating right, then our body is not producing enough energy. We've got bad gut health. We're inflamed. We can't do the things that we want to do. You're not going to be bothered exercising. You're not going to be able to manage stress properly. So it's food first, and the body responds really quickly when you start putting the right stuff in. And you think about what food is. It's fuel. It's providing our bodies with the right nutrition. And most of what we're eating, I mean, most people, if you look across the globe, most people are eating 60 to up to 100% ultra processed food. Now,
wow.
what is ultra processed food? It's man-made food that's designed to spend a long time on the shelf. So and
Yeah.
they also want you to eat more of it. So they kind of engineer it in a certain way. It contains a lot of added sugar, a lot of added salt to make it taste good. It contains preservatives, additives. It's highly palatable. So we throw it down. We're bypassing our normal feedback loops. And when you look at what is a healthy food is something that is full of nutrients that we need. It's full of
Yeah.
fiber that's supporting our gut health. It's full of antioxidants that can help combat this oxidative stress that's coming in from all the environmental factors. It's full of vitamins and minerals that we need to for our bodies to perform proper function. So unless we provide that, we're not going to function properly, and we're going to start to get poorly.
Are you pro all organic if we can get it and if it's affordable?
I think you buy the best that you can. Obviously, organic would be better, because then you're not going to have all the pesticides and things like that. But at the end of the day, there's still benefit to having fruit and vegetables that you would buy in the supermarket. You just wash them, you peel them. There's these kind of things. So we don't want to get too hung up on everybody's got to go organic. What I would say is, if you're going to eat animal products, so I mean, I do eat some animal products. It's mostly plant based with a little bit of animal products. But what I do now that I'm not eating as much is that I can buy much better quality. Uh,
Yes.
this was something that always bothered me years ago, which was, that everything is mass produced now. It's containing a lot of antibiotics, growth hormones, these kind of things that you just don't want to be consuming in your food. But when you're feeding a family, you've got to buy the cheaper stuff. But what I found was that once I started to make that shift over to plant-based food, which is the healthy food, so most of your plate would be plants and then a bit of meat on the side, then you don't have to buy as much, so you can buy the better quality. um, so it's that kind of shift. We don't have to go completely organic, and we don't have to go completely vegan or plant-based or anything like that. It's just we're focused on plants because that's where all the good stuff is. And if we want to eat meat, then we have, a little bit on the side, like a condiment. So that's quite a big shift for people to move away from, the meat with a bit of salad on the side to
Mm.
great big salad with a tiny bit of meat on the side. And that's one of the shifts that we have to have.
And what do you think, right this minute, and it's commercials, it's everywhere. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, good or bad, but so many people, it's more about losing weight and oftentimes losing weight in order to tackle a disease, let's say. How, what are your thoughts on all these GLP-1 products and the shots and the, different ways and the weight loss focus that's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem is that people focus on one small thing. So for some people, it might be weight loss, and therefore anything goes, any kind of supplements, any kind of, these tablets, these injections, anything at all to lose the weight, which they will work. But then are you healthy?
Right.
You won't be, and it's the same with, kind of people who want to, say somebody wanted to become like an amazing bodybuilder, and they just pump themselves full of, if your goal is to become like super fit, muscly, at the cost of all else, then yes, it will work. But what we have to do is think about whole body health, mind, body, spirit, it's what do we need to eat to function properly? What do we need to, how do we need to live in our lives so that we can, chances are we are still going to be here in 40, 50 years. How do we, so that we can be happy in our lives as well? We don't want to live in a way that we have to restrict ourselves, so that we can never have anything nice, that we can never enjoy ourselves, that we can, so it's just, that's what I'm about, whole body, whole life health. It's like, let's just do the things that make us the best that we can be, but without having this kind of reductionist view on everything where we only focus on um you know the,
Well, what's cool about all of this, well, one of the many things, is that lifestyle, everything you're sharing is to enhance the lifestyles that we choose. And mind, body, spirit, what you were just saying. And the fact that through a diet, I mean, you're a medical scientist, you've done all the studies, you're licensed in this, and the fact that high blood pressure is reversible, type 2 diabetes can be addressed by a drastic degree by what we choose to eat, our, all of these things. It's what we eat, our movement, like you said, be aware of stress. Are we getting sleep? Are we hydrated? It's a lot more than just what we eat, of course. However, the fact that there are a lot of chronic diseases, and I say a lot loosely, I don't know that that's true, can be reversed through what we eat
yeah,
as the first piece is for a lot of people kind of unbelievable. But you have been practicing this and you've seen it happen.
yeah, yeah. And that we've got, there's a wealth of scientific studies. I mean, I could share a lot of studies where people have gone in with sort of, end stage heart failure and have come out the other end, and that it's reversed. Type 2 diabetes reversed. People go in with pre-diabetes and they don't progress onto type 2 diabetes. People with prostate cancer have avoided having to have drastic surgery that would have made them impotent, and you know so the proof is there, and in practice it works as well. What I've tried to do in my practice is make it very practical. So when I came out of my studies, I had all this scientific knowledge and all this, this is what we need to do, but then it's how to teach people. So that's what I've been practicing for the last 3 years, is how to simplify that science in a way that people can apply to their everyday lives. And it can be quite overwhelming at first. You think, oh my god, I've got to change every aspect of my life, and so we've got to just approach it from a one little simple thing each day. We focus on that once and then we bring something else in. And, the body responds so quickly. I mean, you eat a healthy meal, within 24 hours, you've changed the gut bacteria in your stomach. That's
Unbelievable.
now regulating your immune system better. It's producing the neurotransmitters in your brain better. You get a good night's sleep. You've now, your lymphatic system has been at work. It's been clearing out all the toxins from your brain. The body responds really fast. So, that's why if somebody really does go all in, you can start to see amazing results, within a few weeks. I mean, obviously, it depends on the individual, their individual circumstance, and dose matters. So if you're someone who's been living with a chronic disease for a while and there's obviously a fair bit of damage happened there, it might take longer, and it's going to take more of an intensive approach. Like you were saying at the beginning, you're going to have to go all in. You're going to have to really live it, and then when is everything settled down and you get yourself as healthy as you can be more 80-20. You can have the glass of wine, you can have the birthday cake, but
Yeah.
you know enough by this point to just quickly get yourself back on track. So maybe you had a nice party at the weekend, but Monday you're back on it. You're going out for the walk. You've made the healthy salad and soup, and you know what I mean. You're back. You know how to get yourself back on track. But if you're somebody who's just trying to prevent a disease in the future, then obviously you don't have to go as full in. You can just take it a bit more slowly.
I love this about the getting off track, and I know everyone can, well, most everyone can relate to this. Every area of our lives, every
Yeah,
area, we get off track. We can always come back. It's that awareness. And I love that you said very first thing we can all do is look at what we're eating.
yeah,
I mean, become aware in order to, and I love this about what you do is you have this program. It's one step at a time. It's not, it's progress, not perfection. It sounds a whole lot like the AA steps. Not, it's progress, not perfection. It's one step at a time, one day at a time, and just stay on that path. And it's amazing what can get done. I love also that you have shared, and I know I want the audience to remember this as well. One really healthy meal and one good night of sleep. All of a sudden, we've done some very miraculous things for our guts and
yeah,
for our brains.
yeah.
That's a big deal. So, Liv, and I wish we could had longer. Tell the audience, please, of course, all of your contact information, every way to get in touch with you, to work with you, to follow you on social channels, etc., will be there. But tell the audience what you're doing right now, and if they contacted like a program or something that you would suggest for them to think about when they contact you, or if this would be a good connection.
Yeah. So I mean, if anybody's interested to learn more, they can give me a call and we can just talk about, if you're interested to just learn about what I do, or you want some more information about lifestyle medicine, maybe you want to learn about a bit of the science that's out there, you just want to dip your toe in, that's fine. Love talking about lifestyle medicine. So you can reach out to me there. I have a group program that I'm running, which is really, really powerful, helpful for people, because you go through the program in a group, so you're all at the same stage, you're all helping each other as you go through, and the good thing about that is that once you learn this stuff, you can't unknow it. Once you know it, you're going to be making informed choices throughout your life. Are you going to go off track? Of course you are. But
Yeah.
you'll have all the tools that you need to get yourself back on track. And so there's that program that you could consider. I've got a free training on my website which people can do. That's got a lot of information about what the root causes of disease are, what are the main things that we can do that are going to help us promote health and healthy living. So that's there. You can watch that program, that free training. And yeah, and then just go to my website, which is omlifestylemedicine.com.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate the information and what you do and what you offer so people can, like you said, dip your toe in and see if you want to move forward. This is, it's all about lifestyle, right? I think that all of us are doing the best we can to help one another in a manner that it's it's good for all, right? And there is a lot to be learned and so much out there, and the audience knows, and we talk about this often, but it's time to take, and I'm talking to myself, responsibility and be a little more accountable about what I eat. Um, I love sugar.
Yeah. I mean, what I find amazing is that once I've worked with people, even just having a conversation,
Mhm.
they then go and start talking about this to other people, and they become the advocates for lifestyle medicine. Because and that's just gorgeous to see. There's this whole big ripple effect that happens. And obviously you can imagine, I've got 3 kids, and when I first learned about this, I came straight into the house and I'm like, right, we're all going plant-based overnight, which you can imagine did not go down well. And I realized I had to rein it in slightly, because obviously I'm passionate about it, but they were not ready to take those steps yet. But what's interesting is that, 4 years later, every one of my kids, although they're not perfect, they do make healthy choices for themselves. And when they go off track, they've learned enough now where they say, do you know what, I think I need to eat healthily tomorrow, or I need to get an early night tonight because I'm feeling really tight. I've got 2 kids that are in uni, and obviously it's party central for them right now. Um, but they've got the tools that they need to
Right.
get things back on track. So that's just that's wonderful. And
Ah, oh my gosh. I mean, I need a serious lecture. I get off track with food, let's say, quite easily. Let me just throw that out there, but hopefully I'm going to be better. And audience, I know you all want to thank Liv for this information and this time. Check out her website, check out her programs, all the things, and let's get healthier all the way around in all areas of our lives so that we can either have a nicer lifestyle or continue the nice lifestyle we've got. And let's just get educated and do better. An appreciation to wake up each day. I think that that'd be a good decision.
yeah,
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Liv. Hook 'em. Thank you, audience. And we'll talk again. Very,
thanks. Thank
very,
you for having me, Carol.
ah, such a pleasure.